Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 20 of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Nature Bloodline, and enjoy that guys. And also, I posted a brand new series over on Anime King of What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy guys. And if you're new, yes, you heard all of those correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King 2 and Anime King 3, which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click those red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Shall we start the intro? So, the last spot we left off, as it has been 7 months since the assault on Konoha that was dealt by Minato, a brutal, ravaging assault. Minato was currently living up in the hills, as he was living with his girlfriend, Tasumi. Turns out Tasumi was pregnant after everything. Yes, she was carrying Minato's child. She had used half of the money that Minato gave her and gave it to her clan, as she gave the other to the Hokage, the 4th, so that she could leave Konoha without becoming a missing name. After all, Konoha really needed the money. They really needed it. She was able to escape and made her way up here because of the kuna that he gave her. It was like a beacon towards his location. He trusted her, and they have been living like this for the past 7 months, something that Minato really enjoyed, as Tasumi was happy to be here with him as well, as Orochimaru had become the Hokage of Konoha. Orochimaru had been under a lot of stress. He couldn't take the stress anymore as he did something rather vile to a young boy. But they had saw him and he had to flee Konoha with his assistant Kabuto. So with that out of the way, Orochimaru was no longer the 4th, as the 5th Hokage became Tsunade. Tsunade was under a lot of stress as well, as the council members, the clans, all of them wanted. They wanted to recreate the council. Tsunade did not see the point of the council though. They just wanted the power, as the council members had been stealing money the entire time. So right now Konoha was broke, and they really needed money. They have also dropped from the top village. They were no longer the top village anymore. Yes, their status, everything was falling immensely. And their Ryu, barely worth anything anymore, as the sun had glowed over them for that, seeing that the sun was far more equipped than them now. Minato has been working with the Akatsuki. He wasn't a full member of the Akatsuki. He has been working with them though and doing missions every now and then, as Konan came to him with another mission as Kisame. Kisame was playing 2 sides. Well, he was literally playing the Akatsuki, but to the Akatsuki they thought that he had betrayed and left darkness. But Kisame just needs to be trusted so he can know more things. Both him and Minato went to darkness as they got a bone for the Dark Forest. It was a bone from Kakazu, as they had brought it back, as Orochimaru was a part of the Akatsuki now. Orochimaru got in the bone, and he was going to use a Jientan as he was trying to heal his sickness. As Konan told him to hurry up, Konan asked Kisame about Naruto, but Kisame was trying to play the fact that he hated Naruto right now. But he saw the girl was hurting, so he told her that they could talk sometime. Konan went to speak with Nagato, who had violently sent her into the wall. Seeing that she said that he could trust Minato, well, Nagato did not believe that and she raised her voice at him. He slammed her in the wall, as she couldn't believe it. She left. Blood ran down her neck as her neck was cut when she hit the wall. She couldn't believe that Nagato would do this to her. She prayed to herself that all those years ago that she should have left with Naruto. She should have just headed off with Naruto. That was the right thing to do. Instead, she had to stay here because of her loyalty to Nagato. But no, Naruto was out of her reach, and things were just so much different. As she was crying on top of the roof as the rain came down and she wished Naruto happy birthday. As Naruto was home, he didn't want to make a big deal of it, but everyone was making a big deal of his birthday. Kushina was pregnant. She was 7 months pregnant, just as Tasumi. As Suki had called Naruto and told him that Kushina was feeling strange, so she was going to bring her to the hospital. It was nothing for him to worry about, but she was just going to check up on her just in case. As Yagura came to his village, wished to speak about something, as Naruto was curious what it was about. Perhaps it was the 7 Ninja Swordsman pride. Just because they had that, they believed that they should be above the sun, seeing that Konoha was no longer the top village now. But Naruto would want to see what Yagura wanted. With that out of the way, Naruto got a call from the hospital, as it was about Kushina. He got word as he told the assistants to hold on the fort as he made his way off. So yeah guys, that was basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? It had only taken him 2 seconds as Naruto's feet touched down in front of the hospital as he rushed inside without missing a beat. Only a few people were here that night, reading magazines, waiting for their turn. The doctors had worked around the clock to make sure that the waiting room wasn't clustered with so many people. As Naruto quickly made his way up and went towards his personal doctor, the man froze as he opened the door, as he had to stagger back for a moment because he just called Naruto 5 seconds ago, and yet here he was. As Naruto did not allow Yuma to think about how much distance from Naruto Tower to the hospital was, and yet it took him seconds to get here. What's wrong? Is it Kushina? Sawaki? Sir, please calm down, the man said. As Naruto took a step back and closed his eyes, as he exhaled. It's about Kushina, the doctor said. He began slowly as he held up his hands for Naruto to relax. It's a Kyuubi. It's reacting to Kushina's hormone. She has high blood pressure and her lungs are being pushed into her ribs. He then quickly stated, it's not because of the child. The Kyuubi is used in the weakened state of the seal. Seeing that Kushina was heavily pregnant, he's swelling her chakra coils more than normal. As Naruto looked around the doctor to see if any of his wife were in the hospital, in his office behind him, but they weren't. As he started to panic more. Okay, so what do we do about it? The man gave his leader a hesitant look. We have to induce. Naruto was taken aback. Induce? His voice came out louder than normal. Isn't she due for another 2 months? He ran a shaky hand through his hair as he calmed himself. I'm sorry, where are they? He said. Kushina is preparing for the operation, and Lady Sawaki is sealing the room off with her people in case the Kyuubi tried to escape. As Naruto rubbed his forehead as Yuma placed a gentle hand on Naruto's shoulder. If the child is not born soon, then Kushina's life will be in danger. As Naruto rubbed circles into his head, we needed the permission of the father before we started the procedure, and Lady Sawaki and Kushina insist that we wait for your arrival. This is strictly routine, my lord. My comrades have performed these procedures hundreds of times. Nothing will go wrong. What if it does? Said Naruto. What if everything go wrong? As he looked up towards the doctor with sad eyes. As Yuma shook his head, I assure you it won't. As Naruto grabbed the doctor up her arm. I'm trusting you, Yuma, he said. I will make sure nothing go wrong, said Yuma. You have my word. Yuma wasn't an expert in childbirth, but he had supervised his own fair share of inducing childbirth. He knew the best doctors and nurses that done commendable work each time. The success rate was so that there was a 90% chance that Kushina would bear a child again. And the next time it would be less complicated with or without the Kyuubi seal inside of her. As Naruto scribbled on his signature on the pad, providing his permission as Yuma walked him down the stairs into the medical ward where Panda, Polar Bear of BLAK Team 11 were sealing off the room for the rest of the world. Naruto, Kushina whispered, as she seemed like she was about to fall asleep at any moment, as her eyes were unfocused and blurry. Hey, she said. The man grabbed her hand and bent down as he kissed her forehead. He looked towards Sawaki who was holding Kushina's other hand. As the vampire priestess smiled tearfully, barely containing herself, he looked to both of them and said, Yuma, know what he's doing. As Polar Bear came over and asked her request to draw the seal. As Naruto nodded without looking, as he drew a seal on Kushina's bed. As a hand was placed on Naruto's shoulder. My lord, please wait outside. No, I'm supposed to be in here, said Naruto. Naruto, said Kushina, please, listen to the doctor, she said. Naruto bowed his head as he placed his forehead onto Kushina's. As she whispered, as Naruto whispered back something to her. As Naruto looked up, Sawaki's face. Yes, of course, said Yuma as he bowed. A team of 3 nurses and 1 other doctor entered the room, and the black operatives exited the room with their leader. The door was clicked shut. 30 minutes later, Naruto could be seen walking around as he paced back in front, back in front, back in front. He couldn't hear a single word because no sound was coming out of the room. There was a silencing seal and a suppression seal in case the Kyuubi tried to escape. As the operatives watched Naruto. 1 hour later, Naruto was now seated in the office chair as he tapped his feet on the white tile floor. 2 hours later, as he tried to distract himself as he was playing cards. But the dread and fear was too much for him. Another hour later, the door finally opened. Naruto jumped to his feet. Well, he said as Yuma was wiping his hand with a small towel. Congratulations, my lord, it's a boy. The doctor smiled as Naruto simply dragged him into a bone-crushing hug before quickly entering the room. Kushina was barely awake as a smile was on her face though as she saw her husband enter the room. Sawaki was also exhausted as she was using her bloodlines to force her kidney to give her adrenaline to keep her awake, to snap her eyes back open just a little. The vampire placed her hand on Kushina's nearly flat stomach, indicating that the Kyuubi was still sealed inside. There was no chance of it escaping, the seal was back. Panda and Polar Bear confirmed this, as Naruto's grin was enough to light up the room. Words couldn't come to him, as Naruto kissed Kushina's lips, doing so over his mask. And strangely the black mask turned and formed lips, as Kushina used the last of her strength. As she held Naruto's hand towards the incubator, as Naruto slowly, gently, moved towards the incubator, he looked down towards the tiny infant inside, and his blue eyes softened as his hand slowly placed down on the incubator. He wasn't even aware of the tears falling from his eyes. There were wires and tubes connected to his son's body. Born 1 hour after his father's birthday, as Naruto touched the tears, shocked, as he rubbed the back of his hand on his face, refused to lift the other hand from the incubator. He's so small, he said quietly, as the occupants watched him watch his first child, his son. As the BLEK members and Yuma led out the doctors, giving the man and the 2 women their privacy. No parenting book could describe the whirlpools of emotion he felt right there and then. As Kushina had fallen asleep and Sawaki was holding her hand, quietly nodding off as well. Naruto smiled as the little child twitched a bit in his sleep. I wonder what you're dreaming about so soon, he said, as he kneeled down onto one knee. As he said in his softest, gentlest voice, your name will be Benimaru. You're going to do great things, said Naruto. Yes, I know you are, Benny. A little short name. Time skip. At Konoha, Uchiha clan head house. There hasn't been peace in the Uchiha clan head house for the past 7 months, and tonight was absolutely no different. I am your husband and you will do as I say, said Fukaku, as he stormed after a 7-month pregnant wife, who ignored him. He harshly grabbed her wrist and forced her to face him. Do you hear me, woman, he said. Mikoto raised her eyebrow and she was unimpressed as she pulled her hand out of his wrist. Haven't you noticed, Fukaku? It's past midnight and I'm tired. Do you want the rest of the clan to hear us fight? If you are tired, then you sleep with me in the bedroom. No more of this petty rebellion. The woman chuckled as she looked towards her attendants, who remained perfectly stoic, but there was amusement in her eyes, a glimmer. Come, this instant, said Fukaku. Fukaku, dear, she said as she gently cuffed his cheek, as she smiled lovingly at him. As long as I live, I will never sleep in the same bed as you, she said, as she patted his cheek gently. Be glad I haven't aborted this bug you put inside of... She couldn't get to finish that sentence as he grabbed her by the back of the neck, as her female attendant stepped in, as they all narrowed their eyes towards him, as Fukaku was not intimidated by the half-small attendants, as he said in a low growl, the child you hold is testimony of our union as man and wife. Do not sully your clan by saying such disgusting things. He spat as he shoved her away. Once the child is born, you will return back to the bedroom and perform your duty, your role as my wife. I am your husband and your clan head. Let me stop you right there, she said. You, Fukaku dear, you're not the clan head. As she pointed to herself and growled right up in his face. I am, she said, as she poked him in the chest. You're nothing but a figurehead. The man clenched his teeth as Mikoto looked towards her attendants and gave them a nod, as they made their way to prepare her bath, as her eyes shifted and twirled and advanced, as she showed off her eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. They were her father's eyes. She had obtained the Mangekyo when she was Chunin level, and unable to advance since. She never had a willing Uchiha, living or dead, to exchange eyes with her. With her father dead at Minato's hands nonetheless, her morals became rather stunted. Fukaku activated his own eyes, but still, at the Mangekyou level, this small display, even though she was smaller and not to mention carrying their child, it silenced the man as she poked him in the chest once again. You do not hold any power in this clan. The clan council does not listen to you and our people does not respect you. Another proof that half Uchiha mates did not bow as deeply as they do for Mikoto what they do for him. Half Uchihas were not given full rights in the clan, and yet they did not respect Fukaku at all, showing that he was not the leader. That illusion of power and authority that you have is merely the respect given to you by being my husband. You represent me for the time being, so keep my seat warm for me, will you? Your father, damn my father, she said. I will leave you to your duties, Lord Fukaku, she said, as she walked off, knowing that she was given a disadvantage. Yes, it was strange to know that just because she was born a girl, things weren't going to be easy for her. So she used her time getting connections with the council and their families as a whole. Still, her father had put his foot down. He didn't want a woman to become clan head, despite her connections and respect in the clan. Like for the whole day, she has been going around speaking with the clan members and the council of the clan, while he has been screaming to the Hokage, trying to get the Konoha council back. Even when the Hokage gave him and his comrades a chance to redeem themselves, he walked out. Mikoto wasn't pleased to hear that at all. Fukaku was clan head in name only, as the man closed his eyes with a snarl. When he opened his eyes, he saw a rolled up scroll in front of the ground. He looked at it with his Sharingan eyes, checking for traps, as he picked it up when he saw none. As he read, Minato is on the Clover Mountain in Hidden Mountains. Time skip. Kushina hospital room at Dark Country. As Naruto exhaled in relief as he relaxed into the seat next to his slumbering wife, Kushina Uzumaki, as Suwaki was sitting in his lap, as her head was rest on his chest, as his left arm was wrapped around her. Some 10 minutes ago, Kushina had woken up as she was hungry as a bear, and she wanted to use the bathroom as well. As Naruto recalled the words from Yuma, the Kyuubi had tried to swell its holder chakra coils to find a way around the seal, but the seal had been tightened to the point where Naruto was actually feeling some pity for the beast, as the Ink clan head had come herself, followed by Panda Bear and Polar Bear, as they had tightened the seal. But the remaining chakra that was in her body, it was being dissolved and eaten away every single food. That is why she was so hungry. And plus it was being flushed out, so every few minutes she would get up and run to the bathroom. Yuma had said that this would last the rest of the day, but normalcy in her body would return. Amara and Naruto, two other top seal masters, confirmed to him that the Kyuubi will not interfere in any future pregnancy. As Suwaki mumbled in his lap as he smiled, as she cuddled up into him, as she was tired, extremely so, but know that her husband was there, she could have some rest and relax. As Naruto glanced towards his firstborn son, Benimaru, as the incubator was close to the bed, and Naruto smiled every time he looked at the child. Benimaru was beautiful, as Naruto leaned and placed a kiss on Suwaki's head, as she cuddled up closer, as he looked upwards towards the television that was installed. It was just about 8 o'clock in the morning, and right on time, the news came on. The newscaster was a woman, dark skinned, as she was wearing a yellow dress, and she had beautiful, striking yellow eyes that draw the watchers in, dark red lipstick, and a modest amount of makeup, and dark nail polish. Naruto wasn't going to hide it. Darkness, only news channel, was state-owned and controlled. It was only flowing in darkness. There were just some things that need to be made known, and they weren't lying to anyone either. The news was honest and factual. As Naruto could remember the exact day when the newscaster had applied for the job, she was a dark-born woman whose father was from Kiri and her mother was from Dark Country. Her father was from the Kaguya clan, who had the bone Kekigenkai, though there wasn't anyone that had the bloodline presently. And her mother was from the Kamiri clan, the same clan as Naruto. As the woman couldn't be happier as it was her dream job. She was a journalist and a news reporter as well. Good salary, wonderful benefits. And another thing, she was married to Ran Tomo, who was known as Epic Miss. He was Kushina and Shimura, former teammate. Epic Miss had retired from active duty and had taken up acting as he worked as a martial art expert on movies and stunt double for actors. As Naruto heard that Epic Miss and Koyuki Kazahana had released a move that they had co-directed personally, starring last week. As Naruto made a note to himself to watch it. As Naruto gave the news his full attention, There was something that you want to hear from it. Good morning, Dark Country. My name is Ani Kaguya, and this is the news at 8. The camera came closer to her face, as the headlines was there. As she started to read, the country celebrates as Lord Naruto welcomed his first child, named Benimaru after Lord Naruto's late father, young Benimaru, who was born around 1 in the morning, and Lord Naruto's office had said that he bear a great resemblance to his mother, Lady Kushina Uzumaki. We at Channel 11 wish to congratulate Lady Kushina, Lady Suwaki, and Lord Naruto on this most generous occasion, as Ani smiled to the camera and bowed slightly. Before she continued the news, in other news, as of midday 2 days ago, Dark Country Ryu has become the most widely used and most precious currency on the continent, surpassing Snow Ryu, and has become the leading Ryu on the continent. As Naruto smiled at the news, smiled at the information, this development has come about at the fall in Fire Country Ryu and the fall of Konoha from the greatest nation. Lord Oza, Deputy Director of the Dark Country National Bank, told reporters that this national increase in our Ryu will increase the value of our goods, and services trading to non-allies. Compared to Fire Ryu, 1 Dark Ryu is equal to 600 Fire Ryu, and compared to the Snow, 1 Dark Ryu is equal to 100 Snow Ryu. Given the recent development, Lady Kamina and Lord Mifune wish to evaluate the Wealth Nation ranks. Lord Naruto was personally not at this meeting, as it was such for someone that is being evaluated. Lord Mifune and Lady Kamina has agreed to step back and let Lord Naruto and Dark Country move up to second place. Lord Doton opposes shift in power, but the decision stands as the new ranks came on the screen. First was Snow Country, second was Dark Country, third was Iron Country, and fourth was Hidden Chill. Lady Kamina of Hidden Chill had commented that Dark Country would have ranked higher if not for Lord Doton's objections. He has demanded entry in Dark Country. The survey is development first, before Snow stepped back and allowed Darkness to take the lead. Our sources in Dark Country said that Lord Doton does not believe that Darkness Country deserves to be a Wealth Nation, and is taking steps to debunk any notion that Dark Country is of a Wealth Nation. Lord Mifune has refused to comment. Lord Naruto is currently unavailable to tell us his thoughts on the matter. She shoved the papers on her table as she looked back up. Lord Wakina of the Fire Country has voiced her intentions of speaking with Lord Naruto. She has emphasized that the meeting is not for alliance. She just wishes to speak and share a cup of tea. She had expressed remorse on behalf of her father, the previous daimyo of Fire Country, that was involved in the Dark Country Civil War, and want us all to move past those events. Terrible ones. More on that later, as Naruto was well aware of that Lady Wakano wanted to speak with him, but he hasn't responded yet. But once he got the chance to do so, he will meet Lady Wakano, but not at Darkness, at River. And align with Fire Country was the very last thing that Naruto wanted to do. His reason, he wanted to see if Wakano would dissolve Konoha, as he knew her hatred of the village. But when it comes to the final reason, he wants his name to be kept out of it though. Now on to the weather, as the weatherman told them that the upcoming snow will be the worst Darkness has ever experienced before, as everyone should start stacking up. Schools and everything would be closed at demand by the leader, because this one was going to be bad. But like always, they will go through it. Naruto's ears twitched as he heard footsteps outside of the hospital door. He held Sawaki closer to him, calming her down, as she wanted to stand up and prepare for the guests. She smiled as she wrapped herself around him, as she leaned back into his touch. As Naruto heard the person knock twice. "Come in," he said, as he called softly to not wake up the two. And his small child, Yagura, entered the room and immediately winks, his hand still on the doorknob. "I didn't know that they were sleeping," he said. "Don't worry about it, Yagura," as Naruto put some emphasis on the man's name, seeing that the entire time when they were meeting usually, Naruto couldn't remember the man's name at all, and he wasn't Kage yet, and he was still a student of Genjutsu. Yagura looked over towards the child before looking back at Naruto, who nodded as Yagura made his way closer as he looked at his friend. First child, a small smile came on his lips. "You have a beautiful child, Naruto," he said. "Thank you." He has his mother eyes. The child didn't have much hair, but Yagura did notice the little hair there was yellow. As the babe released a cute yawn, his eyes opened fractionally. but then closed it once again. As Yagura saw it, Benimaru had cold black eyes glowing, a burnt orange, vertically slit pupils, showing when Kushina would call out the fox chakra. As Yagura blurted out his next words, without thinking, he's possessed by the Kyuubi. As Naruto stared at the man, long and hard, as the man instantly got an apologetic look on his face. "Watch yourself, Yagura," said Naruto. His voice sounded a bit dangerous, as he looked towards Sawaki before looking towards Kushina. "If either of them had heard you, I don't think I would be fast enough to salvage what would be left of your corpse." As Yagura gulped, as he saw Kushina shifted gently in her bed, but she did not wake up, as he could not gaze back up at Naruto, as Yagura could feel the temperature in the room dip a bit, as he could not look up at Naruto. He was a bit afraid. I'm very sorry, Naruto, he said. The coldness that was in the room instantly vanished, and the dark shadows that was creeping up on the wall vanished as well, as Naruto's body burst into smoke as he left a clone behind. As Sawaki did not wake up, the ease that he had burst his body into smoke and created that clone took Yagura back. As Naruto placed a hand on Yagura's shoulder, "It's fine," he said. As he patted him on the shoulder, "I get it, it just slipped out." Yagura tried to apologize again as Naruto raised a hand, as he placed a hand on his son incubator. "The Kyuubi isn't a spirit, and it doesn't have a soul," said Naruto. "All tail beasts have no soul. They are a mere cluster of sentient, living, self-aware, and intelligent creatures, almost like normal animals, but with the perk of having corrupted chakra for a body. When a beast is sealed," he further explained, "its corrosive chakra is broken up and put into sizable chunks. He distributed through the chakra network of Jinchuriki. Kushina's seal, the 12 chakra seal, serve this same function, except it also mute the Kyuubi emotions from affecting Kushina. When she was 15, maybe 16, Kushina mastered summoning the 9 tails chakra." Yagura slowly nodded as he understood. No tail beast can possess the user, only influence them with their emotion and their chakra. "What about all the times the 8 tail prompted the Jinchuriki to attack Kumo?" the man said. "The beast was never in control, rather it was a corrupt chakra clouding the holder's mind. And if you can remember correctly, both times the 8 tail attacked Kumo, the holder was still genuine and under 13. They haven't even mastered their own chakra, not to even talk about their beast chakra. The influence, and the village being against them, their mind being corrupted, hence why they attack everything." "Ah," said Yagura, "I understand. My son is not possessed by the Kyuubi," said Naruto. "The circumstances leading up to my wife giving birth early is the reason why Ben's eyes are tainted by the Kyuubi's chakra." "Is..." the man wanted to ask, as Naruto nodded, as he suspected what the question was. "Is he blind? Beast chakra is corrosive and poison to humans. Some of my shinobis that suffer tail beast poisons from the 3 tails, and they had to lose a limb, any of their body parts, so they would live. He's not blind. It isn't impossible for a person to build a tolerance for tail beast chakra." Benny was contacted with the Kyuubi's chakra in the later stages of Kushina pregnancy, but being part Uzumaki, and the child of Uzumaki with a unique chakra also, being born in dark country, Benny's chance of being poisoned by the tail beast chakra is close, if not zero. He has some of the Kyuubi chakra in him, but is far from being poisoned, said Naruto. The 5-tailed horse had revealed a long time ago that Dark Country was the place where Kaguya Otsutsuki and the 10-tail was defeated by Hagoromo and Hamura. Hamura, using his Byakugan and his special chakra, had sealed their mother into the moon and cast it into the sky, while Hagoromo had split the 10-tail into 9 pieces, and each time the man divided the beast, extracting the chakra, and gave it form, black, smoky mass escape, and filled the land and mutated the animal and plant life. Hamura and Hagoromo were unaffected because of their dojutsu, and the newly born tail beasts adopted to the darkness in a way that they could see very clearly. Hamura left some time later, and his descendants would later form the Hyuga clan, while Hagoromo died some year after as well. After giving the beast some form of intelligence, the demon wasn't so sure when humans moved into the darkness of the land, but it was the safest option given the plague that was plaguing the earth at that time. And the demon horse did not know who Lord Yin Yang was, but the man had walked in and swept all the darkness into the dark forest. He didn't know if that man was a Otsutsuki or not, but he was incredibly powerful for doing that. So, as the people lived there, a chance of them being poisoned by the same darkness that plagued their entire place that they went through every single day, the chances was 1 to none. And Naruto was one of those persons, and not to mention Kushina chakra as well as a Uzumaki, So Benimaru could not be poisoned. It was 1% and none, yes. As Naruto did not explain all that to Yagura, just how his and Kushina chakra make it hard for him to be affected by TLB chakra. Benimaru might have the eyes of the Kyuubi, but Naruto still loved him. So, you said that you were having a problem, said Naruto. Yagura eyes dim. Can we talk somewhere private, he said. Without missing a beat, Naruto led him out of the hospital, and they made their way. Time skip at the tower. As Naruto waved his hand and his guards left, along with his assistants. As Yagura looked down, he seemed to be fighting his mind about something. As he looked disgusted with himself. I've been having these thoughts. These terrible, destructive, disgusting thoughts. He paused for a second to shake his head like he would throw away what he was thinking. As Naruto did not speak as he waited for Yagura to continue. My mind keep on telling me that every bloodline holder in the village, every bloodline holder I know, my family, friends, that they're all evil and that they should be wiped out without mercy. That Kekinkai users are plotting my death and they will throw Kira into turmoil. And that I'm the only one that can see their treachery and I should exterminate them. As he grit his knuckles tight somewhere in my mind, I think that you, Lord Naruto, are the cause of Genjutsu Sensei's death. That you and my bloodline users, all of you, team up together and you plan to do it again and kill me and take over everything and kill everyone without a bloodline. But the sensible part of my mind tell me that you're innocent and that you will never do anything like that. But the other part tell me I should seal the 3 kills into myself and murder every single Kekkei user that I get my hands on. I have been fighting these devilish thoughts in my head. These ones that want to turn me against my own people, my family. As he looked towards Naruto, my friends, he wants to turn me into a monster, Naruto. How long have you been thinking this, Yagura? Naruto asked. Since my sensei passed, said Yagura. And you never had these thoughts before? Never. Not once before. Not that I can recall. I never thought about them. But now, they're all I can think about. As Naruto posed a question, if you've been having these dark thoughts for a year, and 5 or 4 months now, what is stopping you from lashed out and kill every bloodline user in your village? As Yagura looked up towards Naruto, there was something that you told me 16 years ago. What did I tell you? Said Naruto. Any decent leader in my position would prioritize the life of their people over all else. As Naruto's words had echoed through his mind ever since. Everything Yagura did, he did for his people. As Naruto remembered when he said those words, when him and Kushina was shopping. You remember that, huh? Yagura nodded. I never forgot. I need your help. Please, help me, Naruto, he said. As Naruto looked at his friend. Come with me, he said. Yagura walked towards the window as he asked, where are we going? Southeastern Port. As Naruto jumped out as Yagura did the same, as he asked, why are we going there? I'll tell you on the way, said Naruto as he unsealed a grey, white coat from the back of his hand. Put this on. As Naruto tossed his over as well. Both of them looked like a member of the defense corps as they made their way. As Yagura saw as they came closer towards the port, there was a few people around. Most of them were already leaving the area as the cold winds were rushing in. As Yagura saw a man, he had 3 large coats under his arms. 3 kids behind him were already wearing their coats. As they were laughing and talking to each other, they had ears on their head with a tail coming from behind them. Pansa Senshi, said Naruto. Shapeshifters, I hear they hardly get tired. As Naruto laughed, I guess it's why they agree to be our delivery people. In their Panta form, their body heat triples, so they can endure the cold weather better. But they also have this ability to regulate their core temperature, so when they're in the desert, they won't bake to death. Isn't that a clan secret? Yagura asks. Well, no. We, who are not in their clan, find that out before they did. There really isn't much an enemy can do with that info. Am I an enemy? Yagura asks. Of course not, said Naruto. So, said Yagura, you're gonna tell me where we're going to the port? Oh yes, said Naruto. That problem that you have, I've seen it before. You have? Said Yagura. Yes. Much more worse than yours though. What do you mean by worse? I mean she acted out on her desires. As Naruto sent out a Morse code towards Sawaki who was awake, and was a bit angry that it wasn't real Naruto that was there. As Sawaki sent a message towards another BLAK member who was on an off day, but he quickly got dressed and headed towards the place, as he was near the place that Yagura and Naruto was going. Chizuri Nagateko is her name, said Naruto. She isn't from any clan, but she's a birth citizen of this country. She used to work for a shipping company in Wave country sometime before the Third War. She lost everyone in her family during the Civil War, so she moved out of the country to get over the pain of loss. Even after the Civil War ended, she came back to register her name and to get a citizenship seal and to request financial support to make a living in Wave. She's a very loud woman, said Naruto that winks, but she's very nice when she wants to be. What happened to her, said Yagura. One day 5 years ago, she marched into the country and went straight towards the Wasp clan. She was wearing a bomb vest with enough explosive to take out a quarter of the country. Some of the officers noticed how jittery she was. They knocked her out before she could detonate the vest. Did she say why she wanted to blow herself up? Yes, she had gotten into her head that it was the Wasp clan members who had killed her family, when it was actually Konoha ninjas that poisoned the water when they were taking refuge inside the Seikomi branch compound. There was also the time that Sawaki lost her clan, when Konoha ninjas had poisoned the water. She was restrained, and we discovered that she was under a genjutsu. A genjutsu, said Yagura. Not just any genjutsu. A Sharingan genjutsu. A really powerful one at that. Wait, that means... Yes, I think someone placed a Sharingan genjutsu on you, but not as strong. I want to check if it's the same person like the one that put the illusion on her. I have a theory, said Naruto. A theory? Well, if it's the same person, then it's possible that he used a stronger genjutsu on her, because it's a one in a while kind of genjutsu. One that just can't be thrown around. But since he used it up on her, he decided to use a strong one, but not as strong on you. And what if it's the same Uchiha? As Naruto beam, then I can finally have that pesky mastermind kill. What? Said Yagura. Nothing. Never mind, said Naruto. Time skip. Komodo Dragon was a clanless man. He had no spectacular bloodline. He was a taste sensor. He had rather a long tongue. Yes, that he could taste chakra in the ear. And he could find out the specific details about chakra. He had a rather unhinged jaw that he could open wide and snap it down to break bones and limbs. His lips looked normal, but there was a line that went up towards his ears where he can unhinge his jaw. He should have been called Crocodile or Snapping Turtle, but he insists on Komodo Dragon. It sounds cooler. He also liked magic trick and board games. Him and Phoenix were in a competition to see which one of them was better, and he was winning. Phoenix was too clumsy to even shuffle a deck of cards, but he gave her props for not giving up. Komodo Dragon was there, in Snow Country. He had used his sensor tongue to investigate the chakra that was found by the Uchiha. Yagura slashed his palm with a kunai as he gave the blade to Komodo. The man pushed his mask up as his 3-foot tongue came out and licked the blood once as it went back in his mouth. There is no mistaking it. It's a match. It's the same Uchiha. Yagura faced Naruto. How do we get it out? As they were in Komodo's backyard. The same way we did for Chizuru, disrupting your chakra and expelling it from your body. Since yours isn't as strong as hers, it will be much quicker. This is gonna pinch a bit, said Naruto as he held up around seal. Before Yagura could say anything else, Naruto's hand started to glow with a black and white color as he started to whistle, a high-pitched whistle. His chakra was turning on his finger in less than a second as he pushed it right inside Yagura's chest. Release! Yagura back arc as electricity was pulsed inside his body. His eyes rolled back in the back of his head as his muscles tightened, the lightning squeezing his chakra coils. Komodo stuck himself to the ground with his chakra as shockwaves exploded out of Yagura as Naruto was wringing out Yagura's chakra and pulling the Uchiha illusional chakra out as well. Komodo rushed out of his backyard as he had to inform the police officers that were coming to see what the problem was. This process took 2 minutes and 5 noise complaints later as everyone was wondering what the hell was going on as Yagura slumped down. What the hell, man? It's 4 less than what Chizuru had to endure as he helped Yagura onto the ground and dropped right on his butt as well. Sawaki wasn't able to filter the chakra out of her body completely. The poor lady had to endure much worse, unfortunately, said Naruto as Yagura collapsed on his back. You mean you had to do that to her 5 times? 5 times worse, said Naruto. I'm just glad that she didn't get brain damage. Out of curiosity, said Yagura as his coils were struggling to get back what they had lost. All of his usable chakra. What happened to the woman? Chizuru, I mean. As Naruto placed a hand behind his head, she became too scared to leave the country on her own ever again. She always hired 5 my Jonins to accompany her and stay with her in Wave. She is now working as some foreman under some upcoming shipping company under a man named Gato. She's safe now, safer than she's ever been, and that is what matters, said Naruto. As she was a person why Naruto had set up a group of ninjas that went towards the people that were out of the country and spoke to them as long as possible to see if they were being used. What Naruto did not tell Yagura was Chizuru had revealed dangerous information while she was under the Sharingan influence. To her, it was like her eyes were blocked out by a blinding red light, while her ears were amplified. Her body wasn't hers but under the control of the person that placed the genjutsu. She wasn't able to identify him, but Naruto knew that it was the same person that framed Kisame in snow, and the same one that tried to recruit Kisame all those years ago. The man had appeared right in front of her from an invisible whirlpool, and she heard the jutsu before it was placed on her. Kodama Tsukame. He told her to reveal her seal so that he could copy it to get inside the country, but she could not because it was drawn by the Chinunku clan with a special invisible ink that could only be seen once you enter the front barrier seal at defense court. No matter how much he asked, she simply could not. Kodama Tsukame placed the victim in a state where they could not lie to the victor. He had wondered if he should send her in to buy some obsidian weapons, but that plan fell apart when she told him that only shinobis of darkness were allowed to buy obsidian weapons, as you could not buy obsidian in its unmolded form. And Chizuru was a civilian as well, as the man was frustrated by that. So he asked her for all the identities on the Dark Council member. This she could do as she spilled out everything. The deputy director of the National Bank, the Dark Council, the supreme members, the civilians. She told everything. The ninjas of his council could take care of themselves though. Naruto was sure of that. One of the main reasons why Naruto went to the Wealth Nation meeting was to find out if the information about his council members had been leaked, but it hadn't. For some reason, the Uchiha man kept it to himself. Did he not know how valuable that information would be to non-allies? Very much so. Doton of Snow Country would pay billions to better know the people in Dark Country, to better know his targets so he can force his way into darkness by threatening their life. Or maybe being on darkness' bad side. People didn't want to do that because they would be on Naruto's bad side, Sawaki's, River, Uzu, Kiri, and the San as well. The civilian council was always kept protected, so the Uchiha had gotten that information. He couldn't do anything else, so he gave her the bomb, making her think that the Wasp people had a hand in killing her family. But in the end, Naruto didn't know what was the reason why the man wanted to bomb the clan. Yes, their eyesight was wonderful. Many things about them, but he didn't know. As Naruto searched for the smoke seed that he had told Kisame to feed Samehata. Meanwhile, the hidden rain. "You're your own person, Konan," Kisame said, as he walked beside the origami angel as they made their way towards Orochimaru's lab. She had an invisible frown in her face, as it was barely seen if you did not look closely. "Do what you want," said Kisame, "but he's our leader, is he not?" "He is. But didn't you say that you didn't like what he was doing in the Akatsuki?" Samehata told him that there wasn't any person close to them, so you can speak as loud as you want. "Stand up for yourself and what you believe in, Konan," said Kisame. She looked up towards the short man. "It's not that easy, Kisame." "No," he said. "If you're against what leader is doing, then do what Sawaki and Naruto did and walk away." "It's not that easy," she said. She looked down. She had discarded any self-care and threw her heart out there and confided in a person that was close to her former best friend, Naruto. Kisame words hit really hard, just like Naruto, because he was blunt. He told you what you need to be told. He was brutally honest when the occasion demanded it. Konan had told Kisame about her wretched life, all of it. There was no blood contract or ring back when Sawaki's left, along with Naruto. "Even if I did know we are on the blood contract." "Let's stop lying to ourselves, Konan," Kisame said, cutting her off. "You know we are on the blood contract, as is the ring. The ring did not come off once one fit her on the finger. Unless..." "Stop all this self-pity. Your life is yours, Konan," he said. He sighed as they finally got to the end of the tunnel. "You're no one prisoner. You can think your own thoughts, make your own choices, and walk your own path. Yes, there might be consequences for your decision, but they're yours, consequences." He spoke in a hushed voice so Orochimaru did not hear him. "It's about time you stand up for yourself." As Kisame felt it, the vibrations on his back that Samehata was giving him, as his leader was sending something. The masked man, Uchiha, fire affinity, find him, kill him. The order was clear, but Kisame did not see the masked man since he was here. It was Deidara and Sorcery that recruited him, and he hasn't seen the man that came to him in the Kiri graveyard yet. Even when everyone was there, Konan, Pain, Hidan, Sorcery, Deidara, Orochimaru, the masked man was not. He might be busy doing his own thing, or he did not trust Kisame, or someone else in the organization. That wouldn't be a problem. Kisame would find a way. Maybe he could convince Konan to bring him out in the light, so he can shave him into pieces and be done with his mission. If Konan survived, he will have to later apologize to her, but it was for the sake of the mission. "Thank you, Kisame," she said, bow. He nodded once as he motioned towards the laboratory. "After you," he said. Konan bowed again as she entered the lab. As Orochimaru watched him enter, amused, crinkle on his lips as Conan asks, "Were you able to extra Kakazu, Jienko?" she asks. The man's lips turn to a smile. "I've only had a few hours since you gave me Kakazu's bone." As he smiles, "I'm a genius, Lady Conan. Of course I have Kakazu, Jienko." As he moved over to the way to shore cylinder, there was a black mass of threads inside, thrashing around. "The cure for this accursed sickness will soon be ready," said Orochimaru. Time skip a week later, as Naruto got out of bed. He ran a hand through his hair. As he looked around, he was back home with the two women in his life, as the both of their legs were curled around each of his own. As Naruto reached over Sawaki and picked up his half mask and clipped it onto his face, he stroked Kushina's head as she purred like a cat as she stretched. He put a pillow where his leg was as he removed it, as he did the same thing with Sawaki. As he flipped out of bed and landed, he placed a blanket over them. The weather was lowering and the thermostat was at max, so those inside would not notice the weather outside. As he went and slipped on a grey t-shirt with grey sweatpants and his flip-flops, as the blizzard was gonna come in a few weeks. People still go around, but in rather thick clothing, because the weather was getting rather cold, colder and colder. Very soon, Naruto's son will move into the house. The boy spent most of the day just sleeping and sleeping, and if he was not, he was just watching the people moving around him. Naruto knew that it wasn't true, but his child just seemed to be aware of everything around him. But he was just a week old. Benimaru was still at the hospital, in the ward where premature children were being kept and watched over. As Naruto made his way to brush his teeth, as he started to think the house was not big enough, as Sawaki and Kushina had told him when they had more kids and their family was bigger, and when their friends brought their kids over for a sleepover, they will need more rooms and more space. The Kazekage wife was going to give birth to their first child in about 6 months. Naruto wasn't going to restrain his children from making as much friends as they wanted. Raza was going to be Benimaru's godfather, and Naruto was going to be Raza, first child godfather. Kushina wanted Shimura, her former teammate, to be the godmother. As Naruto noted to pack up their things once their doctor gave them the green light to take Benimaru home, he spat in the sink, a hard task to do when he didn't have lips. As he rinsed out his mouth and placed back the toothbrush, where two other toothbrushes assembles. As he reached for the hand towel and wiped his arm, as he folded it and put it back, as he clipped his mask back on. Yes, he thought to himself, definitely a bigger house. As he smiled, thinking about his little family already, and his new-born son. It brought a happy smile to his face. But like many others, Naruto also knew that things never stay happy for too long. Not in this world. But he was gonna hold that happiness for as long as he had it for, and he was gonna make sure everyone around him was happy as well. As he wondered how Kisame was doing, as the job was really difficult for him. After all, if he was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, but he had trust in Kisame. He was one of his elite soldiers after all. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see the next part to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new series over on Anime King 3 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Nature Bloodline, and enjoy that guys. And over on Anime King, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning, so go ahead and enjoy that as well guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help in your support. Yes, I have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day. So thank you all for your help and your support if you click that red subscribe button. And if not, just enjoy. So yeah, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace out.